Hey guys, today I have a basic DIY video for you guys. I know there's a lot of you out there that already know how to do this, but for my new subscribers that have never done an oil change, let me tell you, it is something that you can do on your own with very basic tools, and you can save yourself a lot of money. Not only that, you know it's being done well, and nobody's trying to upsell you on services you don't need. So if you are one of those that takes your car to places where they do quick oil changes, shy away from that. They're always trying to upsell you. I know that for a fact. So please do this yourself, save some money, and you'll feel good about it. So we're going to be doing an oil change on a 2014 Nissan Versa Note. Some of the things you'll need, the basic things, are going to be a oil container where you can collect the oil that's being drained from the vehicle. You're going to need a creeper or a cardboard box, works just fine. That's what I used at the beginning. Aside from that, you're going to need a pair of gloves so you can keep your hands clean, some rags to wipe stuff down. You're going to need the proper oil filter for whatever car you're working on. You're going to need the proper oil. Pay attention to the oil grade that you're using for your car. Of course, you have to look up what your car needs. You can pick these oils up at your local auto parts store or Walmart, Costco if you have a Costco membership, which is where I buy mine. Outside of that, I don't know if I mentioned, you're going to need a funnel so you can put oil back into the engine once you're done draining it. And you're going to need a wrench with a socket, the appropriate socket for whatever bolt drain plug your vehicle has. In my case, we're using a 9/16 because that's what I have. Some of these come with a 1/2 inch bolt for the oil drain. You're going to have to check yours, so that you know which socket you need. So basically everything I showed you is all you need to change the oil yourself. Let me show you how it's done. I almost forgot. You're also going to need to be able to elevate your car. Now, jacks and jack stands are a good idea, but they're a little more expensive. You can get yourself a basic pair of plastic ramps. Walmart sells them, Amazon sells them. Your local auto parts sells them, but they tend to be a little pricey. So get yourself a basic pair of plastic ramps so that you can climb the front end of every car on there, and that way you have access to slide underneath to drain the oil. The drain pan that I will be using today is made by Flowtool. I am not being sponsored by them. This is something that I bought on my own because I thought it was great. So by all means, you can buy any drain container that you like, or you can just use any old pail that you have sitting around the house. In my case, I bought this one because it's something that I thought was pretty cool, and I'm going to show you why I think this is pretty cool. All right. This piece comes off. Put this down. It's got a little plug here that we can remove. All right, this is the little plug that comes off. Set that aside. We don't want to lose that. And then you have this piece, which screws on to the opening. Once that's on there, you can grab these extensions here, okay? And you just basically put these in there and thread them down. Now, let me show you why I like this pen. This goes right up on top there, okay? And now you have slightly elevated pen, which is great if you want to try to minimize how much oil splashes around when you remove that plug. And more than ever, you'll be glad you have this when it's windy out like it is today. If you're draining oil on a windy day, that wind is gusting underneath the car. It's going to tend to blow the oil stream in all directions. With this, you can adjust this to whatever height you have and get as close as you can so that the oil has very little time to travel before it hits this surface and drains into the pan. And what's great about this one is that this is fully adjustable. Let me pull this off so I can show you. You can adjust this up and down. Okay, with this, let's just put this one aside. You turn this in one direction and it goes up. If you need less height, you turn it the other direction, it goes down. That way you're adjusting the height of your pan, as you can see here, while you're working on the car. I don't think that I'm going to need more than one of these tubes. That's why I took the other one off, because this car sits pretty low. And let's get under there and I'll show you how this works. Okay, guys, when you get under the car, you want to look for the oil pan. And in my case, this is the oil pan. They all look different. This is the bolt that you have to remove, okay? Uh, when removing this bolt, you loosen it first. And before you completely take it off, you set your drain pan underneath it so that way the oil doesn't spill and goes directly into the oil pan. All right, so let's start taking this bolt off here. All right, I'm gonna just loosen it up first, and then I'll put the pan underneath it. There you go. So that's loose. Once you get it to loosen up, you just do the rest by hand. Okay, so you want to have your rag ready just in case. Okay, so let's get this pan underneath here. Put our little tray under there. And if you needed to adjust this up and down, you could to get a little closer, but you want to leave room to get your hand in there to remove that bolt. So let's get this going. Turn the bolt off. And there you have it. As you can see, the oil is draining, going right into that tray and funneling down into the container. I'm gonna turn this a little that way so it's not so close to the edge, that stream. All right, so from what it looks like, we're almost done draining the oil on this car. It comes down pretty quick. So I'm cleaning the plug before I put it back in there, which is going to let this drain as much as possible. Another thing I wanted to mention is you always want to do the oil change when the engine is cool. You don't want to mess around with the engine while or draining the oil while the engine is hot, because this oil can be extremely hot and you don't want to get burnt. Okay, so it's been a little while and I want to show you. It's down to a drip now. So it's almost completely drained out. And then I'll show you the next step, which will be removing the oil filter. So now that the oil is done draining, we're just gonna pull the tray off and start screwing back on the oil drain plug. Clean this area off so you don't have any oil sitting there. We're going to move the pan out of the way for now, and then we're going to take our wrench and tighten this up. Now we don't want to tighten this up too much, just a little snug. You don't want to strip this. So once you tighten it and it stops, you give it a little tug. That's it. Not even an eighth of a turn. So on this particular vehicle, the oil filter sits just forward of the oil pan and it's sideways. Some of them are straight up, some of them are sideways like this one. So what we're going to do is we're going to get it started. You don't need a wrench for this. I know sometimes they feel tight, but especially if you have a gloved hand, it's a little easier to grip this and turn it and pull it off. Okay, so once you get this just moving with your hand, you want to make sure you have your drain pan underneath it, because as you turn it off, it's going to start dripping oil down. As you can see there, we've got oil coming down into the drain pan. So you wait a little while, let that filter drain out some, and then you keep turning it slowly until you can remove it completely. Now it does turn quite a bit. Just keep your hand on it so that when it finally comes off, you don't drop it. If you drop this thing, remember it has oil inside, you'll end up splashing everywhere. So you want to hold it and bring it down gently. So there you go. There's a filter in my hand. So we're going to go ahead and let this sit there. Okay. And we'll pull this little tray away just to get it out of the way a little bit. But remember, it's still dripping from up there where the oil filter connects. All right, so let me bring you guys over so you can see where I took the oil filter from. So right here, you see this this thread here. The oil filter screws onto this and sits flush against this. When you remove the oil filter, you want to make sure that there's nothing stuck here, that this is nice and clean, so that the next oil filter sits properly in there, sits nice and flush. So guys, yeah, before you put the new filter on, you want to make sure you dab your finger in some clean oil and then just run your finger along the outer edge and get some oil on that outer gasket before you reinstall it. Go ahead, put it back on. Always turn it by hand until it stops. Now you don't want to use a wrench for this, especially when putting it on. Sometimes they're a little tight to get off and you have to use a wrench to take them off, but never ever use a wrench to tighten them. You tighten them loosely. Once it starts getting snug, you just give it a quarter turn. There you go. Hand tight, quarter turn, almost to the point where you can barely turn it anymore. And that's it. That's all she needs. Yep, she's good. Once you're done with that, you want to clean up any drippings that you may have gotten while removing the oil filter. And we're all done at the bottom. Now it's time to get up on top and start filling the engine with oil. Okay guys, so the hard part is done. Now we just have to top the engine off with some fresh oil. And to do that, you just look under the hood for the oil filler cap. So you turn that and remove that. Make sure you put that to the side. Gonna clean this area off. We're gonna get our oil funnel here and place the oil funnel into the hole. And then you go ahead and grab your oil as I showed you earlier. In this case, I use a 530 full synthetic on this engine. And this particular Nissan 2014 Versa takes just shy of 4 quarts of oil. So we're going to start filling nice and slow. You don't want to overdo it and get this thing to overflow here. Remember never to put more oil than it calls for. Okay, I had just shy of 4 quarts in this container because I had used some of it already. So I know, I'm confident knowing that I have not put more oil than I need to. And once this is done, I'm going to go ahead and check the oil level using the dipstick, and I'll show you guys that. All right, so this right here, guys, is the oil dipstick. This is how you check the oil level. Now you want to give it a minute or two, make sure that oil drains through the engine into the pan down below so that you can get an accurate reading. Pull this out nice and slowly. The first time you pull it out, you just want to clean it off. You don't want to use that first reading. Just clean off the dipstick so you don't have a false reading on there. Most of the dipsticks will be very similar. If you see here, there's a grid. There's an L and there's an H. It's hard to focus here, but if you look down here on this side, you have an L, and up here you have an H. So that stands for the low level and the high level. Let's see if I can get this to focus. You want your oil to be somewhere between the low level and the high level a little higher at first because when you first start the car after the oil change, some of that oil is going to go into the filter. Not much, but some will. So, all right, so we're going to make sure it goes all the way back in till it's seated completely. Then you pull it back out, and this time we're not going to clean it. This time we're just going to check it. And it's hard to tell at first because this is fresh oil, but this is right there at the very top on the H. So like I mentioned, I knew I had just shy of 4 quarts in that container, and because this car takes just shy of 4 quarts, that was perfect. But if you're not sure, as you're putting it in, just check it every now and then. As you're pouring it in, stop, check, and then if you need some more, you pour some more. All right, we're going to check it one more time, and yep, it's perfect. It's right there at the H, and we're good to go. So that pretty much completes the oil change. Now all we have to do is remove the funnel and screw the cap back in. That's it. And you're all done, guys. That's all it takes to change the oil on your car. You can buy the oil at your local Walmart or Costco or your local auto parts store and save yourself a ton of money, while at the same time feeling good about yourself knowing that you did the car maintenance on your own. So there you have it, folks. That's all it took to do the oil change on this 2014 Nissan Versa Note. It is very simple. It is very similar on just about all cars. So I hope that if you've never done your own oil change, that this video encourages you to do it. Save yourself a ton of money. Now, before I let you guys go, I wanted to mention, make sure that you properly recycle the old oil. Take it to your local auto parts store. They usually do recycling there. I know Home Depot does it as well. If you've got a Home Depot by you, they take recycled oil. So what you could do is take the old container of oil that you use to fill with fresh oil, if it's empty, drain your used oil into that container and take that and drop it off at your local recycling center or Home Depot or auto parts store. Make sure you recycle the filter as well. Now, before I let you go, I wanted to mention, if you guys haven't seen my video on the giveaway, I'm giving away some of these ratchets here. These are torque wrenches, okay? If you're interested in getting one of these absolutely free, all you have to do is check out that video where I do the giveaway. And if it's still up, it's because I have not, given them away yet. When I get to 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to go ahead and give 2 lucky winners a choice of either a 1/2 inch or a 3/8 torque wrench. This is a must-have if you're going to start doing stuff on your own, so you don't under tighten or over tighten bolts. So please make sure you check out that video and enter for your chance to get one of these absolutely free, shipping included. Thank you guys very much for tuning into my channel. Until the next one.